think everyone was here by like 8:33. So good job. Hopefully you've had time, but not like a little bit, to grab some food. So there is more coming as well. So feel free to grab at it as we go today. Today's a nice, relaxed session. Looking around the room, this is quite a fun group to start Friday morning with as well. So looking forward to today's session. I think about half of you-ish were at the rap party on Thursday night, so good to get you out again so quickly. Today, obviously, we are talking all things TikTok. So for us, what that means as small businesses is how do we engage in our audiences online, why it's so important to do so, and I suppose even more important than that, how do we translate that into real business results? So today, I think we're lucky to be joined by Rachel, Justin, and we've got Rich somewhere down the end. Rich down the end as well. I was about to say who all, apart from Rich, came over from Dublin for this, so thank you guys for putting in the effort to come over and chat to us today. Format-wise, I think we just want to keep this a very casual, open conversation around just those things, how we use TikTok, and how we can really make the most of it as small businesses. So I guess just to kick us off, it'd be good to get to know everyone around the room. So we'll go around, if you could just quickly say name and company. And then it'd be great actually just to set some context for the session as well. What do you think of when you think about TikTok? Like what first comes to mind, and that can really help us shape the conversation today. So we'll start.
Good morning, I'm Zaya Litvin. I'm a clinical psychologist and founder of PsyCaps. We do evidence-based mental health games for young adults, anywhere between 16 and 28, so that they can stick to it and have something like resources that work, that are not boring.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abdi, and I'm the digital sales manager for a non-alcoholic wine company called Scott. We are in 30 different countries right now, and we are trying to push our brand and our products on social media.
What do you personally think of when you think of TikTok? What comes to mind?
For me, it's just, if I'm being honest, just kids being kids. But I think there is real potential, especially, as time goes, TikTok becomes normalized for different demographics. So you'll see a lot of mothers and older people. And I think it's a great tool to reach out to different people that you normally wouldn't come across.
Right.
Danny Gray, I'm the founder of Wallpaper for Men, which is a male cosmetic brand. I'm also just about to launch a mental health platform a week on Monday, as well as another business. We use TikTok and a load of social media for wall paint, which has been very successful for us. But very interested today to hear about different types of content and what should be used and what shouldn't be used in terms of ads and stuff like that.
Hi everyone, my name is Colin. My company Alira is developing virtual reality sports engagement technology. Our goal is to use virtual reality to get as many people involved and actually engaged in sports as possible, specifically those who wouldn't normally get involved due to a number of circumstances. And so yes, our view on TikTok is that it's just a bunch of really short, engaging pieces of media that can be anything from engaging to informational.
Oh, and I should say, Colin, you've come down from Scotland to
Yes.
this as well, so good effort from you as well. Coming down. Rich?
Hi everyone, I'm Richard. I work at TikTok in the events team. TikTok for me is very dangerous because if I start watching it at any point past 10 o'clock, I don't go to sleep till 3 o'clock in the morning. It's generally just something that I go to make me laugh out loud all the time. So it's great for me.
I'm Natasha, I'm from the Family Network, and my initial perception of TikTok was, I would say in one word, was my sister. That's 2 words. It really got me into it, and a lot of the trends. But right now, I would almost put it in the same category as like Wikipedia. I don't know if anyone ends up in the recess of Wikipedia reading up about different facts, different events and things like that, but I've now found that I start using TikTok more and more for that, actually, to find out a little bit more about what's going on in the world and what's happened in the world previously. So.
I'm Will, I'm from the Founding Network as well, so I work with all the founders that we've got in this room, and for me TikTok, don't have it personally, but again, what I'm aware is that everything I've seen, very addictive, very funny, and a massive So yeah, excited to hear everything today.
I'm Neil, I'm from Guinness World Records. We're a content producer, so I think we're the largest British brand on TikTok, I believe. So that does very, very well for us, that great short form, dogs skateboarding kind of stuff, people smashing melons with their heads. But the bit I look after in Guinness World Records is I work with brands and agencies to develop campaigns around record breaking, using record breaking in campaigns. So for me, I'm interested to understand more about how we can get influencers breaking records and how brands can use those influencers and how we can use TikTok as a recruitment platform to bring people in to break records online.
Very cool. I'm Rachel, I'm from TikTok. I'm on the SME team, so I work with small to medium-sized businesses. What I love about working with TikTok is that it is a platform to inspire creativity and joy, which is our motto. So yeah, it's really nice to come and actually meet people in person, which is so weird. And yeah, hear all your really cool stories.
Cool. Rachel, who's your guilty pleasure to follow on TikTok?
Oh,
Anyone embarrassing?
I think my algorithm is literally just all dogs. Burning Man dogs and golden retrievers in particular. So that's what I enjoy.
Hi, my name's Liam. I'm the founder of Bell, which is an online fitness coach matching service, essentially Tinder for online fitness coaching. I'm also an online fitness coach myself, so use primarily Instagram to publish content most days of the week. And I use Reels a lot, but I actually haven't been consistently using TikTok, so I feel that's an oversight on my part. But no, I think of it very similarly to you, that if I go onto it, I need to make sure I've got nothing to do for the next few hours because it's so addictive. I think that's maybe what stopped me in the past. But yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Hi everyone, I'm Eve. I'm the founder of Bundly, and Bundly is a sustainable rental service for baby clothes. So as babies grow, their parents can swap the clothes for the next size up. So I've always kind of thought of TikTok as like a Gen Z platform, so I'm quite intrigued to hear if there's actually millennial parents on there who we can be targeting.
Hi, I'm Millie. I'm from SCOO. I'm the Junior Marketing Executive, and I think TikTok's an amazing platform because I think it actually makes you embrace your imperfections. Going from Instagram, everything you see is so perfect and it has to be so pristine. To then going to another channel where you can literally do whatever you want. You can make a fool of yourself and you don't get slated for it. You actually get applauded for it.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabrina. I'm the digital marketing manager at Scoot. So we're basically an app that allows people to offset their carbon or to reduce congestion by carpooling. So we do some really great stuff. So we're obviously keen on TikTok to kind of learn a little bit more about the sustainability space. But when I think of TikTok, I do think about the frustration around the fact that everything you try really hard at doesn't work. If you wake up looking not that great, do a TikTok that took you like 5 seconds, it's probably going to get like 1 million views. And I find that so frustrating, it's hard to plan around.
That sounds like a nice problem to have.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm the Senior Social and Content Associate at Astra in the EU, so we sell like demi-fine jewellery. And when I think of TikTok, I personally love TikTok. I think it's like a really fun and authentic platform, like what you guys are saying. And I think it's just like such a good opportunity for growth because it's the only algorithm that allows for growth based on the quality of the content, not how many followers you already have. So I think there's just lots of potential there.
Hi, I'm Bryony from Jack and Brian. We make plant-based meats out of jackfruit, selling on our website, into food service restaurants. And what I think of TikTok is it's a great way for me to connect with my children. It's bragging power. It's a fun way of me, we watch it as a kind of, before bed. It's like a funny way. And we all laugh together before bed. I don't even know how I got to that, but and the thing is, they think I'm super cool by being here today because I think I'm actually beating TikTok, So I've got a huge kudos for today, anyway.
Hi, I'm Nohad. I'm the Sales and Marketing Executive for Nixon Kicks. It's a vegan or natural drink. When I think of TikTok, I think of all the trends that we have found on there, whether it's cooking or life hacks and how to do something easier. It's just kind of like having a big group chat where you can kind of share like your things that you've learned over the years. And yeah, I think that it's a great platform for you to grow. You can literally go from being a nobody initially and then to somebody who is influencing millions of people. So I think it's a great platform to get your things out there.
Hi, I'm Markella. I am from Olio and I work in the growth and engagement team. The main goal of Olio is to fight food waste, and the app enables neighbors to connect locally and share food, but also household items. So please finish your food today. We also work with some big supermarkets like Tesco, but also with Pret a Manger, where our food waste heroes volunteer and pick up the food and we distribute it through the app. Now when it comes to TikTok, I love TikTok. I use Reels more. I think you mentioned it, because I think I'm used to Instagram, but lately I tend to also scroll more on TikTok. I love having TikTok breaks with my friend when I go to visit him. We're like, okay, let's just sit and watch for a few minutes TikTok, and then we laugh on the videos. And yeah, when I think of TikTok, it's mostly about just creativity. The content creation is amazing, and even though you see a 5-second transition, there's a lot of work going like behind it. Same with all the dance videos. I've tried it. It took me a day to learn to dance the Britney Spears dance.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura from Creative Blenders. We are a coffee business roasting, and we roast and we post. So we specialize in posting, with the content creation. We specialize in roasting the coffee, a specialty grade, and send it by post. I'm the content creator and the marketing executive. I use more Reels and Instagram, and I'm trying to learn more TikTok. It's not my area, but I'm trying to love it. I feel like the platform is a great, have an addition, sorry, I'm mixing everything too. I feel like the platform is a great opportunity for people who wants to grow as a photographers or even filmmakers, because the edition is amazing and the transitions. I actually will love to have that when I start studying film, because it's amazing. I recommend to everyone, even my parents, I just tell them, you should record yourself and you will be doing millions, because people wants to see this. And we are trying to create or make more sales with the coffee roasting business, but we are getting that from Instagram instead of TikTok. We're trying to learn more about advertising on TikTok, and that's why I'm here, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Hainan, and I'm the co-founder of Why Hangry, the private chef platform. Imagine you can book a dinner party for tomorrow for £15 per person. That's what we do. So we are democratizing access to private chefs by making it super simple. You can go on the website, choose your menu, and we take care of the groceries. Chef shows up. You can enjoy your time with your friends from literally £15 per person, with a minimum spend of £100 though. So in terms of TikTok, when I think of TikTok, I think of my co-founder and I. We moved together during the first lockdown in London last year, because that was a super difficult time. We couldn't operate, and we basically just thought, okay, what do we do? And in that time, we started doing these dance challenges. And although we knew about TikTok way before, we never actually started using it. But she used to be part of this Bollywood dance. She was the leader of a Bollywood dance team at Columbia University in New York. I used to dance at LSE in this group called Hip Flop. And then we basically were like, oh my god, let's do this every day. Let's use the communal area to practice. And that's kind of how we got into it. And then when it comes to TikTok now, we just think, how do we do something with food, content creation? It's so difficult to find the right content creator to showcase what we do, like dinner parties, which really lends itself to video content. But in a short form, it's like thinking of transitions and making it snappy, 20 seconds. So I downloaded this app called Beatly, I think, because I just couldn't deal with the TikTok kind of like filters and transitions. I thought they were so complicated. Whereas Beatly, we choose a song, you upload some random videos, and they just immediately mash it up for you. So did a couple of videos that way, but would love to like find out more about how to find the right content creators and how to actually learn more about using the right filters to create these cool videos on TikTok.
If someone had said to me at the beginning there's 2 co-founders in the whole community, have been doing TikTok dance challenges, I 100% would have said you would sit.
Hi, so I'm Justin from TikTok. I work on small medium team at TikTok Ireland. I work on a lot of branding campaigns and performance campaigns, so that's working with businesses who are trying to introduce themselves to this big new landscape of TikTok, and then obviously driving down to the end of the funnel, which is driving conversions, looking for ROAS, all that kind of stuff. What I love about TikTok, I'm in fashion talk and beauty talk, so a lot of the content I'm showing are from beauty and fashion brands, such as, you know, there's a great, lots of inspiration about Korean skincare. Korean skincare is like 9 to 10 steps, and it makes it's bad because you end up buying more and more skincare and get a bit more obsessed, so I would caution you on that. And then fashion talk is really great because simple things like how to style a white t-shirt in 10 ways. There's really easy ways to do that in a creative way and get across your message. Yeah.
How do I follow that? I was set up for failure between the two of you. My name's Jason Scott. I have a peer-to-peer marketplace that helps you connect any workspace to you. So it's the Airbnb for workspaces. You need a space to do a TikTok video, you need a space to write a book, you need a penthouse in Mayfair for 1 hour or for the day, or a super yacht in Croatia. You're talking through our platform. And that's how it works. It's called Focus. K-O-P-U-S. Find a place to focus on Copus. I made that up this morning. Thank you. And a 27-minute walk. And I was like,
so what you're saying is the next session is on a yacht?
100%.
Yeah.
Gorgeous super yacht. Have never used TikTok except to learn to dance. I've been using Twitter for over the last 7 years. I did 2 million on Twitter, so I was always super obsessed with the idea of dialogue as opposed to broadcasting mediums. I did very well on podcasting, again, because it's one medium, and I found it easier to compete for ears than to compete for eyes. But lately, more and more people that we work with have been talking about TikTok and growth and virality. And one of my business partners, a guy called Dan Fleischman, who owns a big social media marketing agency, he's like, put all your money in TikTok. If you have any advertising budget, find out about TikTok. So when I saw this, I couldn't wait to come and find out more.
Cool. Well, it sounds like everyone's got some sort of experience with TikTok. A lot of similarities. Quite interesting to hear compared to some of the other platforms as well, that you can be more authentic by the sounds of it as well. So that's great to hear. So just to kick us off, Rachel, and perhaps Justin as well, I don't know if you want to tell us a bit about some of your favourite stories or some small businesses that you've seen doing really well and what they seem to be doing that works.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great brand called Tatty Lashes in the UK, who are a beauty brand based in Northern England, and basically they've just published a case study on TikTok on our inspiration page, so I highly recommend you visit it. And Tatty Lashes are a female-led brand that sell lashes. They design the lashes. They're organic. When you look at their organic page, they're telling the authentic story of Tatty Lashes in a humorous way. So it's how to put different styles of lashes together. It's not trying to force people to wear lashes, it's more an education piece. Their style, I find to be, you're introducing the brand, you're educating people on how to wear lashes, but you're also, it's also quite funny. They use a lot of voiceovers, hilarious type content. I mean, the great thing about TikTok is one of the biggest hashtags, which has over 1 trillion views, is hashtag humor, and that is content. Apologies, thank you so much.
That was the most Irish thing.
I know. So I mean, they do their content with love. It's introducing the brand, it's selling the brand, but it's really humanizing, and I think that's what works really well is. The cultural capital on TikTok is authenticity, and I think that's one brand I would check out that's doing this really well.
Okay, cool.
How do you spell that?
Tatty Lashes, T-A-T-T-I.
Yeah, similar on the humanizing element was Ivy and Twine and Mark's client. They were such a lovely client. They were a couple that are based in Scotland and started making their own candles for their wedding because they found that decking out their wedding venue was really expensive, so they were like, we're going to make our own candles, and everybody was complimenting them at the wedding, being like, these are divine, I really want to buy them. So they made a business out of it, started advertising on TikTok, totally sold out, had to pause their campaigns because they were doing so well, and they're still absolutely thriving. They've moved to 3 different warehouses to size up during the whole campaign and everything, so that was a really lovely story to see as well.
And what are they called, sorry?
Ivy and Twine.
We'll definitely be checking that out. So I know another thing that a lot of people mention around the table is just how addictive TikTok seems to be. When you and I were speaking about it right before, that actually it's great for you personally, but professionally, it's too distracted that you get sucked into it. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So I remember, I think I heard about TikTok coming to like the UK like quite early on. I listened to a few like US-based podcasts, and they were talking about it and stuff. So I started checking it out, and I've never experienced anything like it. I would go on my phone. I'm usually very disciplined. Like I don't have any notifications on or anything like that, just so that like I have a good relationship with my phone. And I would go on, and I'd be like, right, well, I've got 10 minutes before letting my lunch break or whatever. And I'd be there for an hour. I'm like, holy crap! I have no idea how that happened. So that was something that I have TikTok on my phone, but it's like in the cloud. I don't have it like downloaded, so it's kind of like an extra step for me to have to go through to actually access the addictive videos. But then obviously Reels came into play, and because I already use Instagram to like post fitness content every day, it was just like kind of a natural transition to start doing TikTok-esque videos. But yeah, now I'm thinking definitely I've got literally like 6 months worth of content that could literally just download and post on TikTok. So they need to start doing that very soon.
And what are the big differences people are finding, and again, Richard, maybe you can steer us on this, what are the big differences when people are using it personally? How do you need to act differently, or how should you approach it differently when you're doing it on behalf of your company?
Well, I think there's really a combination there. In both circumstances, what audience react to and where the resonance is a humanizing side of the brand. So if you're using it as a personal individual, or whether you're using it as a brand, the audience, which is TikTok, want to see authenticity. They want to see, they don't want to see things that are contrived. They don't want to see things with a high mental polish. I think to your point earlier, you were mentioning that it's frustrating to spend a lot of time on content and for it not to go anywhere. But I would also argue there that because you've put that polish in, that's not resonating with the audience, and it could be an idea to just take a step back, think of how can I just really hit the heart of content with authenticity to kind of make that content leverage a bit better as well.
Is that polished issue, is that TikTok audience as a whole, or is that maybe just your audience?
No, I just think like sometimes when there's, again, we're not other platforms, and other platforms have other ways of doing content, and just our way is it's a short and sharp video, 9:16 aspect ratio, 6 to 16 seconds, that's really impactful. Having a human in the asset itself increases your CTR and engagement rates. So that's how that in itself is just a different strategy from what's happening on other platforms. And I think that the one note I really leave you with is testing and iteration is so important. You have to remember it's a brand new platform, it's a whole big challenges. The biggest issue I see is people trying to be perfect on TikTok straight away, and we don't expect you guys to put that pressure on yourselves as businesses. But what I would encourage you to do is experiment, play. Testing and iteration is so important to find what your brand voice is going to be and what's going to work for your own business as well.
We find a challenge in the fact that with a lot of the social media stuff, we plan it out. So content calendars, we have little preview apps. We can see how things are going to be looking before. With TikTok, I think also, even if we're not spending that much time on it, it's like the strategizing side where we want to try and think, okay, let's manage our time, or let's do this. But then we're finding that obviously we want to jump on trends, or you never know how things are going to do, or a little idea. So I think it's also that element of it's completely different in the no planning part of it.
And I think that comes in as well as your team grows as well, right? So I know Olio got 60 staff, something like that, and Rebecca and Walker, you got 19 working, something like that. So there's that expectation where you have to plan anyway. So how do you stay on top of trends if it's expected of you that you're far in advance with what you're putting out, and you can't just quickly jump on things? Any advice on that? So if you have to use a content plan, if you have processes within the business where you may need approval and things like that, how do you get around that to make sure you're still on trending and not missing things because of those processes?
You can plan your content strategy in teams, and your teams have flexibility. As in, you're saying you're going to do stuff that's going to be either voiceover style content where you're telling the story of the business, which is really impactful, by the way. That's, there's a hashtag called Small Business, I think I've mentioned a couple to you already, and Small Business Check, which is all SMB globally telling their story about the brand, telling the story about how the product is packaged. So you could have a theme of telling the business story. And that can be in your content strategy for the next 3 months, where you're giving your team or the content creators you're working with the flexibility that this is the theme I want to hit, and you can give them the flexibility to be creative, and hopefully they'll be able to find some viral moments in that theme.
I have the feeling that the content is often very, or the response is very connected to the content deliverer. And when I go on TikTok, it's full of like very energetic young people that are very creative and very like, if it was me, I'd be like doing clinical drama on my computer. Nobody's gonna watch that. How do you translate something like that that's a digital product that is very, you know, I think there's a lot of interest, but somehow I can't see myself going like, and then I did, you know, we got 500 participants, and then, you know, Cohen's D is 5.
But actually, maybe on this point, I remember one of our interns, Gen Z obviously, told me about, I think it was Ryanair or EasyJet. And Ryanair. Okay, yeah. And they're like, it's so fun. They're very like self-deprecating. Like, who wants to hear about Ryanair? Like, it's always a bad experience, right? So they really like make fun of themselves, and they have so many followers. The content is really like imperfect. It's like that playing with the eyes and lashes and stuff. And I think that's the type of content where you can maybe, I don't know, add a twist to it. Like, it's like adding the humor to any like stats or like anything you say, which we haven't figured out. So take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, that theme of humor and being funny is the biggest trend on TikTok. And then like in that example, Ryanair have kind of applied that to, how do we apply humor to Ryanair? Well, actually, we can be self-deprecating, we can not take ourselves seriously, which is that less polished element. Yeah, that's very applicable to all businesses, I think. And I think in your case, if you come back, I think what would really work well is like a voiceover of the story of how you actually made the business, the struggles you face, the challenges you face, and having a real like soundtrack that is really like simple music, really easy to follow, because that's really humanizing, because you're talking about something that not a lot of people might understand if they haven't set up a business, where you're humanizing it, you're showing your own, like how you struggled, and I think that kind of stuff really resonates quite well. That's a story people on TikTok are really interested to hear, which is quite different to other platforms, is what is the struggle I face as a brand? Like, I'm trying to achieve such a great thing because it's coming from a place of honesty, and trying to communicate that in a way that is really easy to understand, but educational as well, because people come to TikTok to learn, but also to understand, and I think that type of content might work.
Danny, I know you had something similar to that, didn't you? Where you, when we last caught up, you were saying how you weren't your authentic self and didn't bring the mental health aspect to the table straight away, and then that suddenly changed as soon as you were open and spoke about everything. And
yeah, we. So there's been a few times with us on TikTok. So we're a men's cosmetic brand, and I suffer with something called body dysmorphia. So I obsess about the way I look. That's why I created the brand. As soon as we started telling that story on TikTok, you know, it resonated with trying to do it more polished. So we do a lot through Instagram as well, and everything resonates on Instagram in terms of ROAS is me. So you do polished content, top of the funnel, which gets your brand out there, but then for the real conversion, it's always like my content that seems to work, and really organic rather than polished. But we put something out on TikTok, we put together in 2 minutes, a young guy actually, 19, knew what he was doing, and we just got millions of views, and it was about my story in about 20 seconds, but powerful music. I'll show you actually. You'll hear it. Just the music for me was the one that got it. But this is it. Show you how bad I am. I haven't got TikTok up, so it's on my Instagram. But this is it.
Cut that from the video.
Yeah. So it says develop body dysmorphia as a kid. I got bullied. Started to use makeup. They gave me loads of confidence. But then I couldn't find a brand that related to me. And then so I created my own. and that was it, and that got millions of views and loads of interaction. And then TikTok actually, I was part of a TikTok campaign. They asked me to be part of the campaign. They came and filmed me at my manufacturing plant, and they created a video. Obviously, it's going to get more views because TikTok are going to push it, but it was really brand led, and the story in about 30 was incredible, like how they put it together. So that's what.
How many of those videos do you need? Like, do you need one of these a week, or what?
Yeah, I think I was saying to someone earlier. We don't expect people to be publishing like 50 times a week because that's not sustainable. We really recommend that there's a recency and frequency that your brand can commit to in terms of if you can commit to one a week and that's going to be super consistent, do that. The worst thing is to do 50 posts one week, one post the next. Organic is an algorithm, and we do learn better as time goes on. So I would recommend there's a consistency in your approach, and whatever is achievable by the business, you have to try to maintain that.
So algorithm-wise, does it work better if you're consistent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know even with our business, with the Defender Network, we get pulled in both directions. So we're close with the team at Bain Media who are saying publish 50 times a day and it's quality subjective and so on. And then we'll talk to the guys at Football Manager where they say things like you've got to act like you're their friend and you're just telling them things that are notable. And so we're getting pulled in both directions. So as long as it's consistent, I assume it's fine, but is it better to go one way or the other, or does it really not matter?
Consistency is key. Yeah, there's a creator on our team, Julio, he's amazing. Has gone viral on TikTok several times, and he says maybe 4 times a week, I think, is the consistency you should be going with. But again, when Justin says it's the consistency that's the important thing there. So if that's not sustainable for you, and then you're going to take 3 weeks of a break from posting because you're I can't do this anymore, then it's the momentum is going to drop. So it's the consistency is the really important thing there.
One thing I would add on is even if you go for once a week and that's super consistent for the next 6 months, what's really going to help is deep diving into comments. That is so key because that actually leverages your engagement rate. So the engagement rate on the organic account will grow, and you should see an incline, an actual growth in 6 months. It's really separate to what's happening on other platforms as well. And in that comment section is really where you can find your magic, because a lot of brands like Ryanair and other brands like that, they're really having fun in the comments and really playing around with the comments in of itself. And I would really encourage you to deep dive into some accounts that are doing that, because it's just so interesting. That's what's going to set you apart from other accounts as well.
There's a lot of content, isn't there, on the platform where the content comes off the back of the comments on that account.
Yeah.
And that's it's great. Your audience is literally telling you this is what we want to see, so take that as
a lot of brands will pull out a comment from the comment section and redo a video. And that's that re-engagement piece. So that's actually extending the lifespan of the original piece of content and the account. And again, that me just saying that is giving you guys another job, but that's one of the things that's really going to supercharge your organic strategy, because it's showing that you have consideration and care, and that's going to make people want to comment more on your pieces of content, going to make people want to actually follow your account, and you really want to encourage as many people to follow your account as possible, because organic on TikTok is very powerful. It's not like we expect everyone just to do advertising. We actually really encourage people to have an organic presence, tell their story, be consistent, because it really, really works quite well.
How important is it then to have a face on TikTok? So not just the brand, so whether it be a face of a brand or someone trying to build their personal brand, how important is that?
I think across all marketing, having a face behind a brand it always works well, right? But on TikTok in particular, it seems that videos with faces in them perform the best. Now that said, there's still there's so many brands I can think of that have just gone with the product and made fun content out of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be Mary in front of the screen speaking about her whole journey, and while that performs really well, there's still room to create just product focused content, especially when you're wanting to drive conversions, right?
I assume have personality in that.
Yeah, exactly, having fun with it.
You're big into personal brand.
Yes, I am. But I purposely created a brand where I'm not the face of it. I think it's really easy to talk about the benefits of personal branding and your organic story, your authenticity, and Danny does it very well talking about body dysmorphia or his issues. But I mean, I've been in social media for 15 years, and it can bite you in the ass that people walk up to you and act like they're your friend at a party, and bring up something really personal that you stuck on social media because you were doing the organic authenticity piece. And also, I think it's easy to say authenticity as a big, broad statement, but some things are authentic at a time. You know, at a time we believed something very authentically, and now we don't. Like, maybe I was a big meat eater, and I'm a vegan. People go, oh, but you put a big thing about how the carnivore diet was the greatest thing for your strength gains, and now I see you eating jackfruit while hanging the chip. While, you know, see how we do that? That's how Twitter works. Just keep the conversation going. And I think that's the thing. And I think, so for me, I think it's very difficult to, it's easy to put yourself up front and be the personal brand, but you've got to think about the long tail of it. You know, hopefully TikTok is here in 10 or 20 years, but we're hopefully guaranteed to be here in 10 or 20 years. And if we're still answering to things, and we've seen this with Kevin Hart, we've seen this with big actors and comedians being stung now by things at the time that were very cool to say. It was okay to make GAY jokes and racist epitaphs and get people's names wrong in different countries, when now that's stinging them. So I think that's something we should be very careful with when it comes to personal brand. A corporate brand is different. Like, a company can say, I'm sorry, and it's quickly forgotten. As unapologetically, a founder is sometimes held onto as being an evil or a bad person forever.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago when you came and did the talk for us on personal brand. It started with that word. It was like, everyone should do this.
Yes.
So, and then from that authenticity point of view, then moving into the product, how do you do that authentically? So, branding yourself with Jackfruit, how do you do that in a way where it's different from everyone else that's jumping on that trend and show you truly believe in it?
Are you talking about our products or on social media?
Both your products and
well, great question. Well, the fact that our products are meatier, tastier than other plant-based meats, we're greener, cleaner than other plant-based meats, and we have a whole package of a sustainability story. So other plant-based meats are made out of powders. We actually use the flesh of the jackfruit. And for us, it's really just showing people that people want to know about sustainability, like Olio. They want to see that whole journey. Whereas like the soy piece and the pea piece is going to come out where it's made, tears down trees, that sort of thing. We actually make plant-based meats that grow from a tree. And for us, it's a really great conversation about that. Like, I've kind of been driving the kind of marketing behind and building out the team. And I think my one problem is obviously the same thing. I'm like running different departments, like doing everything. And I can't even think of what TikTok to do. And whilst building out the marketing team as well, my probably question is like, have you got any kind of tutorials for the whole company? Because I don't want it to be onerous on me. And again, like jumping on all these, trends that you suddenly can't plan for, that sort of thing. That, how can we kind of, as a company, be a bit more efficient with posting, really, and again, not making it onerous on, even though I want to tell the story to everyone, making it onerous on myself as well.
So we actually put together some resources for the end of today. There is actually a tutorial page. So again, this is the goal today, to help educate you guys and make sure you have as much resources as possible. We actually have a YouTube, which people don't know about. It's really educational. We regularly post onto it as well, so there's lots of ways in perspective to learn how to.
We'll include that in the follow-up as well.
Okay.
We're also in the process of creating an SMB Academy, where we're going to be filming in Dublin in the end of the month, so that's going to be rolled out in October, so that would be something that you and your staff members can kind of watch and then get accredited, and so that you can actually see, make sure that everyone knows exactly what they're doing.
If you want a guinea pig who does not know anything, come.
Holiday in Dublin.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. How have you guys found that at Scoot? Because obviously your big focus is to plant 1 million trees. Of course, both while you're eating.
Yes.
How have you found that with getting that across authentically and not getting caught up in the noise of it, I suppose?
It's a big challenge. We find being in sustainability, it's quite it can be a fairly serious subject, or some things are taken more seriously, so it's how do you be lighthearted about those things. And we actually work with a number of brand ambassadors who we brief to try and make content for us, but we want them to be as authentic and as creative as they can. But how do you brief someone and explain to them like what to do or create content without being like, okay, we're about cars, trees, and like sustainability. So either be in a car, feature some trees, or like talk about sustainable content. I find like that was more of a challenge for us initially. It was like not being so literal. Now I think we found like, well, Millie especially like heads up the TikTok side of things, and I think now we found slightly more of a groove. But there is that element of what we do is obviously like we find it like really important, but how do we just not always talk about that? Because we find sometimes we just put anything out there to see like what bites kind of thing. Just be like, okay, if that doesn't work, we'll just archive that.
So it really is testing and seeing what works.
Yeah, we do test the waters.
Do you think it's like from my perspective, like I'm massive on content. So like ever since I started Warpaint 3 years ago, I was the third person I employed was a full-time content person, and that's a massive risk because we need HR, we need not even HR, we need admin and customer service. But I just knew what was happening with the brand wasn't normal, and so I was like, everything needs to be filmed, like everything. And I think that's half of the challenge what you're having. Is people are like, well, I need to create some content. You haven't got any content to create because you're like, well, I've got to make a video. What am I going to talk about? Where if you film everything, we've got I think like 138 hours of footage on like hard drives, and it's just everything we filmed, absolutely everything. And we test constantly, but we film so much content, we just cut it up. Right, what works, what didn't. Is it like, for example, on Instagram, don't put a brand at the beginning. So a lot of people will put their brand. And then another great one as well, just a tip, is if you've got so influencers are great brand awareness, not necessarily conversion, especially through other social media platforms, Instagram. But a great way, I'm sure you're doing this, is take their content and you push it yourself, and using it that way, which you all do. But for me, that's about then you can cut up in a certain way. So I'll just say, make sure you just film as much as you can. Like if something interesting is happening, or you're testing something, or you're doing something like that, just film your computer and then just save it somewhere, and then you can go back and cut it. It's a much better way.
I'll tell you what I find interesting about what you do, and maybe a couple of others around the table do as well. Today we're predominantly talking about how to use TikTok to push the message out there from the start and to build that. But actually what I see you doing a lot is actually using it as a tool as part of other PR or other attention you're getting. So I'm sure when you were on Dragon's Den, or when you're going on the one show and this and the other, I'm sure you've got the same. Actually using it to amplify that.
Did you record the footage as well and use that for ads?
Of
Dragon's Den?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's part of the story. Yeah, so we've used that, and that way because I was first ever makeup campaign in John Lewis for men. And someone did something in the Sunday Times, and I'm not joking, I employed that guy 3 days before, right, my third employee, and it went on the Sunday Times on a Sunday, came in on the Monday, John Lewis, it went ape shit. I went on Channel 5, BBC News, I got interviewed for 5 days, back to back to back, and he filmed absolutely everything. And behind the scenes of Sky, literally behind the scenes, we've got something called the series on our website, where it's 8-minute videos. Yeah. But if he wasn't there, he wouldn't have captured that.
Actually, a quick question for Danny. So you mentioned like the fourth person that you hired was a content creator, and I mentioned that content is the biggest struggle for us and why we're not using TikTok. So what was the skill set of that first content creator you hired?
Have you got it in-house at Minute Content?
We don't currently.
100%. This is the problem. Like, if there's any agency sat around here, sorry, but agencies don't know your brand and won't be able to create it for you, and they'll charge you a fortune. So I pay someone a good wage, and I'll get video after video. Like,
and that person is a videographer or like a...
Yeah, so you want a videographer. Yeah, like because there's different people have a skill set where they can do social media, they can put something together, but you want a videographer. Dude, that's all they do. Like these guys, this video. They're amazing. They're amazing. Yeah, and I promised you that will absolutely transform everything for you in terms of social ads and everything. In terms of it changed everything for us.
But then you need someone to edit it, and then someone to put it up, and then someone to do the analysis,
but
and someone to test it.
They could do that. They could edit it. They could create you a video. They can create you an ad. They're very good. So videography 10 years ago wasn't cool. It's become the coolest thing now. So TikTok, social media, so all these people coming out of uni, out of school, and that's what they do. And there's a lot of talent out there. They can create you the video, and then you put it out isn't difficult, you know.
So Rachel and Justin, have you got any tips then for that model where you're flipping it on its head and actually you're using TikTok to showcase other bits of publicity you've got and other places where you're giving attention?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you want to go, like, after you've appeared on Dragon's Den, for example, like, you want to go back on TikTok and tell people the whole story behind it, because people probably only got a fragment there. And again, like, going back into the comments piece and using that tool to engage again with comments, because again, people want to know all about you from there on. Like, if you take Love Island, for example, like, you go on to TikTok after that and all of the people that were on it are going on, engaging with all the comments, telling everybody everything they want to know, and they're getting really, really engaged. So that's going to be the same for a brand.
Yeah, I think like if you had that piece of content from Dragon's Den, which is so valuable, right? And then there was a voiceover of, you know, you saying, oh my god, I was on Dragon's Den, I struggled so hard to get this business up and running, I'm so proud. Like, that's really invigorating content. It's really like a genuine story, and that kind of stuff works really, really well. So you can apply that to any piece you have, that you're so proud of all of the things that you guys have achieved over the past few years. And like, that's the authenticity piece. That's the, you know, what I think some businesses don't do well is telling the story of just how bloody hard it was and the struggle, like all the money you had to find, all the people you had to hire, like all the struggles you had to face. Like, that's really what people love to hear, because it's a real human story. It's not just saying, I have a great brand and please buy it. It's doing the real piece of telling the actual hard work of how hard it is to set up a business.
That's how Netflix are killing it. If you look at Netflix, all of their all their films are polished content in terms of people getting interviewed. And they go back through all their raw content from before. And that's why they're killing everyone. That's why everyone wants to see that raw. And most funny enough, that Dragon's Den thing, we went and filmed me watching Dragon's Den. I did a whole, I bawled my eyes out. I did a whole, I narrated the whole thing, like how I was feeling. And we put that out, that went really well. But funny enough, I'm not put it out on TikTok, so that's what we should do.
With all the speaking about content, actually, maybe this is a question for everyone in like marketing or managing like ad accounts, maybe even performance. Is there, for example, a ratio between how much you spend on creating content versus how much ad spend you put behind it? And as like a new startup, we have obviously we do ads on Instagram, Facebook, Google, and we're trying big now. We haven't tried TikTok, we tried Pinterest, didn't really work for us. But we spent very little on content creation until recently, and we filmed with actually these guys. But yeah, so it's like, is there a certain ratio, and what do like people do around? Is there is it spending X percentage of your ad spend on actually creating the content? Is there like a rule of thumb?
I feel like you're being
okay. I feel like I'm talking a lot. There isn't. Right, so for me, content is everything. So your ads will not perform unless your content's right, and there's different funnels and different strategies with content. So this is the thing, right? So if you go out and get an agency and say, well, I want an ad to put out on Instagram, okay, it's going to cost you £3,000. We'll come and film it, we'll edit it, it's going to look polished, it's going to look great. That sits really well on your About Us page, right? And by the way, I think if anyone's got an About Us page without a video, they're in trouble. You know, sharing that story, but that will be great brand awareness on Instagram, TikTok, but it's not going to convert to sales, because it's the more raw, polished, organic content that is but you've got different levels. So the top level of the funnel, you can do this brand awareness of really polished and look amazing, but don't expect a return, because that'll be brand awareness, it's clicks maybe, but then you're more. So this is what I'm saying about content in-house. But if you gave someone, let's say 40 grand a year, yeah, for 40, 50 grand, because you can get a really good one, they can create so much content. This test and learn up here, you just do it constantly and say, right, it doesn't work. Where if you're spending £5 a video, you stick with that video and go, well, Instagram doesn't work. You know, and honestly, once you then resource into your content house in-house and do the budget there, it pays back in droves. And I'm not just saying that, I've spoken to quite a lot of startups, and a couple of people have just called me up and said it's the best thing I ever did. You know, because then you just test and learn and get rid of that didn't work, let's change it, let's do something. Where if you've got an agency or we want to tweak it, well, it's another 500 quid.
Right, so taking that a step back then, for so many people in this room have already mentioned this morning that they're now just looking at and setting up their ad account on TikTok. So how do you get started? What before you even if you're not looking at agencies and you want to do it in-house, what's your advice for people getting started with that?
Getting started on TikTok, what you need is your creative ready to go. So we've talked a lot about that. And then having your tracking set up as well is really important. So we have a standard tracking pixel and we have a pixel with Shopify as well, which is super powerful. If anybody's set up on Shopify, happy days. Pardon?
Yeah, pixel for Shopify.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really powerful pixel, so it has like advanced matching, which allows you to track a lot more than the standard pixel that we have. We also have developer mode, so if you have someone who's really IT focused on your team, or if you can outsource that, the developer mode pixel is recommended for advanced matching too. But they're the two things that you really have to get set up on the platform. You can literally set up a campaign in a matter of 10 minutes then once you have your creatives and your tracking ready to go. It's just a matter of choosing who you want to target then and what budget you're going to put into it.
Yeah, so any advice then on making sure you are targeting the right audience?
Yeah, we really recommend going broad at the beginning, right?
Yeah, especially at the early stages. You know, your pixel, if any of you guys are into conversions or sales or anything like that, you know, your pixel is a learning mechanism before 50 conversions. You're in a pre-learning, I'm getting mad technical, but you're in a pre-learning phase before 50 conversions, you're in a post-learning phase after 50 conversions in a 1 week period. So it's really trying to drive at the early stages, like broad targeting to make sure you're getting through your learning phase. So essentially the tool should, after you pass your learning phase, your conversion should be stable, your CPA should stabilise. And yeah, I would reiterate what Rachel said, like I call it account health. Like it's really easy to throw money in things, like spending the budget is really, really easy. But it's actually the account health is really important. Like, have you checked that your pixel is firing? Pixel issues, I mean, I've just come from Pinterest as well. Pixel issues are the biggest issue anyone's ever going to face. And applying it to your website, not Shopify actually, because Shopify is one-click integration, so it's actually amazing. But if you're doing developer mode and it's put into your website, that's a lot of work. And you know, there should be no ad spend really if your goal is conversions before your developer mode is installed. One thing I would mention as well is, while we're kind of talking about creative, there is a separate platform called Creator Marketplace that I don't think everyone knows about. So it's called Creator Marketplace. It is a TikTok platform. You do need to register to get access to it. So it is basically a dating agency for influencers, right? And so, you know, if you're Warpaint, you can search for men who are big in beauty, who have followers of 100,000 to 200,000 or less than 50,000. It's all customizable, or they're big in the UK or US. And what a lot of brands and agencies do is, you know, this is my brand and this is what I need to do. They'll search for a particular creator, they'll reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking for 10 to 20 pieces of content, this is the budget I have, this is the brief. We were talking about briefs earlier as well. We recommend briefs are like not 2 A4 pages, and do give them a guideline, but do encourage flexibility and creativity, because essentially you can go viral on TikTok if there's, you know, if there's something unique and magical in the aspect, and sometimes large briefs kind of ruin that as well. So highly recommend everyone signs up to Creator Marketplace. It's free, and you can just reach out to influencers and be like, I'm trying to do this content. They'll come back to you at a price. You're all in charge of that whole process, so highly recommend it.
So actually, I have a quick question. So just going back to demographics, I think we touched on it not long ago, but like, how important are hashtags? Because when I go on TikTok, a lot of the stuff that comes up, it's stuff that I normally wouldn't search for. I might like it, I might not like it, but like, what do you, or some of them go viral with millions of views and likes, and it's it doesn't have any hashtags, or maybe it has one hashtag. How, like, what would you recommend as hashtags? Should we have a bunch that are very relevant to what we're selling, or is it, you know, something trending or something completely different that might be, you know, targeting an audience that we want to, you know, push our product on? Like, how important is it, or is it all just completely random? What would you say?
Definitely not random. It's, yeah, the algorithm is super smart and powerful, but for advertising you actually don't use hashtags. It's against our ad policy. So there's like a different advertising product called branded hashtag challenges, and that's what you see on the actual hashtag page. But when you're advertising, you don't use hashtags at all. It's actually to do with interest and behavior targeting. So you can target people who interact with particular types of content in like the last 60 days. So, you know, like when you're scrolling through TikTok and you're liking loads of different cooking videos, and then you're like, wait, I'm getting served way more cooking videos now. That's what's happening. And it's the same for paid and organic content. Similarly, you can actually target people who follow or view the profile of a particular category of creator. So whatever category you want to look at, you can target those people too, which is really interesting. But again, like, it's going broad at the beginning, and then like funneling down to see where these people actually sit within the demographics.
Can I ask the dirty question then, which follows brilliantly from
Go
that?
on.
The one thing we haven't said, the algorithm. Because I think most of us like all fell in love with Instagram, and then it changed its algorithm, and now it's incredibly difficult. And we fell in love with YouTube, and then they created 11 algorithmic factors of which you can control 3. You know, smash the notification bell, leave a comment, subscribe. Then you're done. Like, you sit back and hope. And then if it's not American, you get penalized. And if it's not this, it's penalized. And if it's not watched more than 5 minutes, you're penalized. And you're eventually working for YouTube without picking up your paycheck at the end. And I know we talked about at least once a week content creation, which doesn't make me feel like a full-time employee for TikTok, so thank you for that. I do wonder, what does the algorithm want? Tell us what the matrix needs from us so that we can keep being seen and heard and sell products.
It's a really good question, and as
you film that? Really good question.
There's like 2 people in a room in Beijing that know about the algorithm.
Oh, right.
We don't really know much about it. I don't know if you have more.
Yeah, I mean, it is a secret sauce basically, but the key factors to look at are your engagement rate on your organic profile and on your paid account. And is it rising or falling basically? Are you growing in increments or are you declining? And obviously CTRs on your organic account and CTRs on your paid ads as well. And on your paid ads as well, obviously you get a CVR, so your conversion rate. So they're just 3 key things to look at, because that's all about resonance, really. How good is your content, both from an organic or paid point of view? Is it resonating with an audience or not? Because that's where, as a business, you should decide where to make changes. If your CTR is like 0.0001, you might have issues. So it's all about, you know, watching those key elements and making changes going forward in terms of what you can change about the assets.
But are there publicly known algorithmic factors? Like, we know the algorithmic factor on YouTube is 7. We know the algorithmic factor on Instagram is
like
11.
a number?
Yes.
And there's no number.
There's no number.
Isn't there something about the way that it's displayed to audiences? So they select, it doesn't matter how many followers you have, they display it to like X audience.
Right.
And then depending on how it does over a period of time, it then gets shown to a larger audience. This could be complete like BS, but it's just more of a question.
I've heard something similar about that. Yeah.
I would look at it from basics of, you know, if you have a business account organically and you can look at your analytics, you're looking at things like your CTR, your engagement rate, you're looking at how many times your video is watched to the end. So video completion rate is really key. And you're essentially, I know this is super unhelpful to say, you're really benchmarking yourself. You know, there's not a way that, you know, everyone needs to be like Warpaint or everyone needs to sell jackfruit. It's like you benchmark really yourself, and you should look back on yourself on a 7-day period and a 30-day period on your account, and that's really important. And looking at those metrics in that way and benchmarking against yourself is what.
On like looking at engagement and like getting better. Look, this is something I've used in Reels, but will also be using in TikTok. Is like what you're saying about people watching the videos all the way through. If you line up the film so that the end of your video follows on to the start of your video, you create like a loop. And so like for me, for fitness content, the first thing you see is me like doing something to introduce the video, like I'm going to explain how you work this muscle or whatever, but I will film that after having done the last exercise in that reel, so that you watch the video, you see me introduce it, and then I'll do 3 exercises and there'll be text or whatever, and that last exercise, after when I'm filming that, I finish that exercise and then do the intro, so then I can line up the 2. And so it creates a loop, so someone watching will just think that it's continuing and be like, oh wait, oh no, I'm actually back at the start. And what for me anyway, when someone does that to me, I'm like, oh, fair play, I'm going to watch it again. Like, if it's really, really smooth, it's just like a really like pleasant experience. So that's definitely something I've used to like help with like organic reach and stuff like that. And you can get super creative, like loops within loops and stuff, but yeah, you can very simply do it.
And how targeted can you, so like, could I potentially target an awareness campaign for Tesco employees?
We're not there yet.
No, it's a simple answer. So in terms of interests and behaviours, there's level 1, 2 and 3 stages. So you can, you know, for fashion, you can break down fashion into outfits and you can break that down a little bit further. That's where we are, but we're not, some other platforms you can really get crazy at how you target people, but we have level based targeting at the moment. You can break down like sport, fashion, beauty, you can break it down, but that level of detail is not there.
So we have just a few minutes left, so I'm not sure if anyone has any other burning question. Oh my god, loads of you are just first.
I'm not sure how it's on TikTok, that's why I wanted to ask. There are a lot of copyright issues around using certain type of music, especially the rules are different for creators and businesses. How is TikTok approaching that? And like having a business account, do you have any limitations on the music that you can use?
So yeah, basically you can have a personal account, a creator account and a business account. A personal account and a creator account can use all sorts of music. A business account uses the commercial music library. So when you have a business account, when you use any music that sits within the commercial music library, it's all royalty free and usable. So that's the key difference. When you use a business account, every music piece you use is completely covered and paid for already. And that's the benefit of having a business account. So you guys as a business need to decide what you want to do. Do you want to use an account that has royalty free music and you can use whatever, or do you want to do something else?
Or you can decide.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're on a creator account, and because we started off as a business account, and we found like we were trying to jump on trends, and I think it's very hard to try and tell your story when they don't really know who you are. So we started off by putting anything out, and then we started hopping on trends and producing relatable content. So for us, we found that's done really well. For example, like there's a sound and it like goes, it sort of turns around and it goes, am I better than anyone? Oh, so I did that when you reverse it, when you reverse the first time into that parking spot, because I'm an awful parker, it takes me hours to reverse into a spot. And it got so many views because it did so much better because people related to that content. And I feel like for us, you start to build up an audience by jumping on trends. For example, like I saw an amazing mental health one the other day, and it was, I can't remember what trend it is, but it's a transition trend where they're like just sort of dancing and then they'll do that, oh sorry, and then they'll do that, they do that, but they'll pull it back and she's outside and then she starts to talk about how the outdoors and spending more time outdoors is better for your mental health. Like for example, just you could literally be sat at a desk all day and do a transition and then suddenly be outside and almost just be happy. Like just something simple like that. For us, we found that it's worked a lot better. Like we produced a 6-7 second video. I crashed my car and I literally walk around the back. And the sound is, I can't remember the
let me add
words,
some
spice to that. And because all the paintwork's been peeled off and there is a dent, so I literally come round, it gets 1.4 million views just on that one video of me just walking around my car. It's
Watch everyone go crash their car.
I'm going to crash your car.
Can we go on the yacht?
Crash the yacht.
It's just the fact that I feel like for us what worked better was jumping on all those trends, and even when a trend has finished, how can you put your spin on it? So it's
and the
not
sounds
just,
are so important.
yeah, and the sound, oh my gosh, like for me, I'm quite an emotional person anyway, so I connect to music quite like, I can listen to a song that I'd listen to in an argument with somebody and I can't listen to it again because it brings back all that emotion. So the music, when I start a video at the moment, I found that when if I find the music first, I then build off of that, because if you get the music wrong in a video, it just ruins it. It can absolutely ruin a video.
Then we've got time for maybe one or two more.
So the TikToks that we find work best are like the ones that tell a story around our experiences. We sell jewelry, but we also do like piercing, tattoos, welding. And basically on TikTok it's just blown up with like UGC. So like people will come into our stores, they'll make a TikTok of their experience and then they'll get like 500k views, and then we'll see like a massive spike in followers. And that's like where we've seen a lot of our growth. But then in terms of like, because we can't track conversions on like those stories on our organic posts, when we're looking at making ads, it's just like, it's not our highest performing content. And So I've kind of got 3 questions. One, are you going to start doing like conversions on organic posts, because we have so much brand awareness around like our welding, which is these like seamless bracelets we have. So
What's
really
it called?
welded bracelets. They're like bracelets.
Because in that list of what you did, you followed piercing with welding. I was like,
yeah, it's just like loads of different ones. But we frame them as like things that you do with someone, and it's like a friendship bracelet kind of thing. So yeah, when it comes, so like, can we soon maybe track conversion on that, because we obviously have so much more brand awareness from it, but we have like no way of tracking it. And then like equally, when going to ads, like, are there any brands that are using like UGC almost in their ad formats, or like anything like that we could almost like look to for inspiration, because like product ones just like won't perform as well.
So yeah, on the first point on organic measurement, so anybody who's on Shopify, there is something coming called TikTok storefront, which is when the organic page has a small product catalogue of 30 to 100 SKUs, and that actually does track through to Shopify. So TikTok will appear in your Shopify as a channel of organic sales. So that is happening now, and you can apply for it. I don't know about like the pixel applying across organic. I haven't heard anything, but I know at Pinterest that did happen, and so I imagine it is going to happen. But I have no dates. I haven't heard about it, but I assume we probably will do it. Yeah. The second point about brands using UGC for ads. Yes, everybody's doing it. That's a simple answer.
Yeah. Is there any like particular ones that you think are doing it really well?
I'd say Tatty Lashes again, but there's a great brand called Omalola Jewellery.
Yeah.
It's a black-owned brand based in the UK. They do really organic UGC pieces. They are actually published as a case study as well. So we will share around the TikTok inspiration page, which there's like, oh my god, we've like 135 case studies now published. There's a good chunk of them are UK based. A good chunk of them are, you know, large enterprises, but SMEs. So we'll share around that today as well. So
and Justin, what is UGC?
User generated content.
Yeah, one more, I don't go for it.
This is kind of quite a basic question for the end of the session, but who's currently on TikTok, and is there any way, like with Facebook, how you can put your targeting on it and see the audience size? Is there any way to see that?
In ads, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In ads, like if you're Warpaint, you know, you can target men in the UK who are into beauty, and the tool will tell you a number straight away. So that's there in the ad platform. It's not in organic, but again, you can have an ads account and not spend, and just use that for information. So that is available. Yeah.
Cool. We are just about out of time, guys. So thank you all so much for coming out this morning. Particular thank you to Rachel and Justin for coming over from Dublin. So thank you very much. This morning, but once again, thank you for coming out. We are back to physical events, thank God. So we'll be seeing a lot more of you out and about. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.